Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Good morning. Come on in. I just want to talk with you this morning. I'm Sherdene Simpson. I just want to talk with you about mental health. Come on in. Yes. It's so good to see you guys this morning. Come on in. Yes. Mental health is a topic for this morning, and it's such a needed topic in light of everything that we are experiencing. I want you to come on in and just sit down. I want you to share, invite someone to join you because, we really want to talk about mental health. Mental health is just like this silence. Let's not talk about it. Let's not deal with it. Let's not act like we know we have people in our family or friends with different issues. We don't even want to deal with it if it's us. So this morning, I just want to talk with you just a little bit more about mental health. And most importantly, it's time for us to break the stigma of mental health. Yes. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to just come on in, settle in. Yes. Invite your friends, share, and invite others to come on and join me this morning. Yes. Mental health. Mental health is amazing. What are we seeing in light of this pandemic? We are seeing an increase in the need to address mental health. Before this pandemic, we saw increases in mental health, but it was still a hush-hush. But as a therapist, it's been so interesting that with everything that's going on, this discussion of mental health is increasing. And this morning, I just want you to join me and log on because we have got to break the stigma. We have got to break the stigma, especially in the African American community. In the African American community, we don't want to talk about mental health. We don't want to talk about depression. We don't want to talk about anxiety. We don't want to talk about things that are really affecting us. So again, welcome. I'm Sherdene Simpson. Come on in. And I just want to start out by asking you, how are you feeling this morning? How you doing? I just want to check in because sometimes, depending on who you are and what you do, people don't check on you. And what I don't want you to say, that's why I wore my okay t-shirt this morning. You can't say okay. I want you to really settle in and I want you to ask yourself, you know what? How am I doing today? How am I? And I want you to really tap into the emotion of how are you doing today? My hope is that you are all doing well. Some of you may be doing better than others. Some of you may have got up this morning and you just don't know what is going on. You like, what, I'm feeling some kind of way. I don't know how I'm feeling, but I'm here. I'm glad you're here because we want to begin to really talk about how are we feeling, how are we dealing, how are we processing, how are we even embracing mental health because it is real. This pandemic came out of nowhere. One day we were all living life, doing our norm, and the next thing we know, we were just at a place where stay-at-home orders. You can't go to work. You can't do this. And what did we see a spike in? We saw a spike in mental health issues. We are experiencing more anxiety, more depression, more trauma, all of those things, more PTSD, those things are real, more substance use disorder than ever. We're seeing so many things that's just coming and happening. And what do we have to do? I want you to embrace this. We have to break the silence. So if you're a faith-based organization, I'm talking to you. If you are an individual, I'm talking to you. If you have a little bit of knowledge about mental health, I'm talking to you. What do we need to do? We need to begin to create a community of care. In the community of care, we come together and we begin to discuss issues that used to be taboo. Old school taboo was I can't tell people I'm sad. I can't tell people I'm anxious. How they going to look at me if I tell them that I'm even hearing voices? They going to think I'm crazy. So what do I want to do? I want to come to you and normalize mental illness. I want to come to you and I want to talk through how we're going to debunk the stigma. Come on, people, this morning, mental health is real. Do I have mental health issues if I'm sad? No, maybe not. Do I have mental health issues if I feel a little anxious because of the pandemic? Maybe not. Do I have mental health issues because I don't feel myself right now? No, maybe not. What are we looking at when we begin to talk about mental health issues? Is it normal to have a degree of sadness? Absolutely. Is it normal to have a degree of anxiousness? Absolutely. What I want to focus in on, when you get to a point when you are feeling a little bit depressed more than 3 or 4 days a week, when you notice some changes in your appetite, when you notice that you just don't want to do anything anymore, when you notice that things that used to be fun are just not fun anymore, when you notice you have difficulty concentrating, that's what I want to hone in on, because as your symptoms increase and as they continue to persist, then we begin to look at, are those symptoms causing you now some clinically significant impairments? Because if they are, then we begin to look at, there may be a little bit more that's going on. Are you a bad person or off person or a demonic person because you're having symptoms? Absolutely not. Mental illness is real. I want you to embrace it. Mental illness is real. Mental illness is a stigma, and there's a stigma around it in many communities. We use terminology like, when people have different behavior, we may say they're crazy or they're odd. I want to let's get rid of those terminology, because just because a person may be sad or they may act different, it doesn't mean that they are crazy. That individual is carrying a weight that is a lot for them. And a lot of times people with mental illness are so powerless over their illness. So what has society done? Society has put mental illness in a box. So let's take the box, let's unpack the box. Society has made us feel, in general, that if I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm feeling some kind of way, then there's something wrong with me. And with the stigma, a lot of times it's the old adage, what goes on in this home stays in this home. So we don't want to say anything. So we walk around for years and years just feeling some kind of way and feeling out of sorts. Then we get in relationships and we feel out of sorts. Then we have kids and they feel out of sorts. No, what do we want to do? We have to address the stigma. We have to take the lid off the stigma. We have to take the Band-Aid off our mouths, and we have to begin to talk and address mental health. Faith-based. If you are watching and you represent a faith-based community, we have to take the stigma off of mental illness. Just because a person walk into your church and they act bizarre, you think they're bizarre and they're walking around and they won't sit down, if this person is out of order, they may be out of order. But if they're having a manic episode, they don't even understand what's going on. We got to take the stigma off. If you have a person even in your own home and they may be in the bed for days and they don't get up, and you're like, they're lazy. What if they're depressed? We got to take the stigma off. And the biggest stigma is, I can't tell anybody how I'm feeling. Because if I tell them how I'm feeling, they're going to think I'm crazy. We have to take the Band-Aid off. The stigma to mental health has got to be taken off, because so many people are suffering. And some of you right now watching me may be suffering. You may be suffering with mental illness and you don't know what to do. You don't have to suffer alone. What has this pandemic created? It has created such a need to begin to talk about mental illness. As a therapist, what am I seeing in practice? More people are calling. More people are making appointments because they're anxious, because they're depressed. More people are saying, I'm drinking more than ever. I'm doing all kinds of stuff more than ever. I don't know what to do. Why? Because it's a loss of control. What happened to my life? My life is now, I have no control over my life. My life is up. My life is down. I don't know if I'm going to have a job. They say, help me. And some of you may be saying, help me. I've been suffering in silence. You don't have to suffer in silence. Let's take the stigma off. No more what goes on in this house stays in this house. No more, we can't tell the neighbors or we can't go for help. And the biggest stigma, especially in the African American community, I can't go see a counselor because I can't tell them my business. If you are suffering, you have to reach out. You have to reach out. And you have to get help. When you go see a helper, it's not like telling your neighbor or your best friend. You are telling a licensed professional. This person is going to keep your story confidential. They benefit nothing from telling your story. They want to help you. So what do I want to do? I want to come before you with several topics following today's lesson. And just to talk to you. So I want you to tell your friends, say, you know what, Sherdene Simpson is coming on. She's talking about mental health. Why? Because she's going to break the stigma. We're going to open up conversations. Pastors, if you're watching, I want you to come on. Because I want to talk to you about how do you prepare your congregation going back. Because there is going to come a point that you're going to go back and you're going to need some help because you have to be prepared for the new congregation. See, the new congregation is not just coming back and they're ready to do church as norm. No. You have to create a new church. What is a section of new church where you are addressing mental illness? See, before we put it in a box and we kind of, okay, you go see so-and-so. Now we have to train up an army because what are we seeing? We're seeing that the pandemic has increased the need for mental health services. Mental health providers, we're now considered part of the first responder team. And we're going to need you to prepare for your congregation because now when people come back, if they come back, well, I say if they come back. If they come back, because you may have a population of people that because of the pandemic, they will be afraid to leave their home. They may now go from a free spirit to now they have what we call in my field agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is a mental health diagnosis where people are afraid to come outside. They don't know what's going to happen, so they're not going to leave their homes. How are you going to minister to them? Because they still need support. They're going to still need your help. So I want you to join me. If you have a person who is a ministry team leader who you say, I'm going to assign this person to address mental health, have them log on. I want to be able to support you. And let's say if you're logging on and you say, you know what, I'm standing in the need of help. Right now, I need to know what to do. I want you to come on. Because I will be coming on just to give you some tips to help you to be better, to provide some resources, and to take the stigma off. Yes, take the stigma off. We have been in a box for too long. So no longer will we see people and keep sending them aimlessly, go get help, go get help. It has to be targeted. It has to be focused. And we have to be ready. What do they need from us? People with mental health, if you're watching, what do you need? 9 times out of 10, you just need someone to listen. You don't need them to tell you what to do. You don't need them to judge you, to analyze you. You just need them to listen to you. Come on now. Let's take the stigma off of mental health. Why? Mental health matters. Mental health matters. I want you to tag a friend and tell them mental health matters. I want you to tag a friend and say breaking the stigma. I want you to text a friend. If you know someone struggling with mental illness, you know someone struggling right now with anxiety or depression. Sherdene Simpson, I don't know if you know about her, ever heard about her, but she is a mental health therapist and she is talking about mental health. I am committed to talk about mental health. Why? Because mental health matters. How do we know mental health matters? Because it affects our individual life. Mental health affects our relationships if we're married. It affects who we are as parents. It affects who we are as citizens. Mental health matters. We talk about a lot of things. During this pandemic, we have talked about a lot of things. We've talked about the economics. We've talked about finances. I want to talk about mental health. Stigmas. I'm okay, but I'm not okay. Stigmas. I can't tell anybody what I'm going through. Stigmas. I can't go and get help. They're going to talk about me. Stigmas. Oh, no, I can't go get help. They're going to tell my business. I can't tell my business. Stigma. I got it. Have you ever said that? I got it. I got me. I'm going to heal myself and then I go get help. Stigmas. Stigmas. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. But everybody around you telling you something is not right. Stigma. I can't say nothing. Yes, you can. Stigma after stigma is keeping us stuck. Stigma after stigma is keeping you stuck. So no more. In the midst of this, we have learned several valuable lessons. I was even watching the governor, and the governor even said he created a special task force for mental health and grants for mental health. So we know mental health is important. I've been watching CNN and seeing mental health. So as I come on, today I just want to introduce the topic of mental health, but I'm going to be coming on and talking to you about the importance of mental health and what you can do. And then I want to grow to a platform where I can answer your questions. I can point you into resources because we talk about so many other things. This is important, and we have to deal with mental health because life will never be the same. Say that to yourself. My life would never be the same. If you are from a faith-based community, my church would never be the same. The way you do ministry would never be the same. If you continue to service people the way you used to, you're going to miss it. Now, there's a need to service them naturally and spiritually to get them prepared to be able to withstand the changes within this society. So again, I'm so glad you logged on to talk with me this morning, to listen to me as I introduce my new platform. I don't have an official name yet. We'll do that. What is most important is that I share with you. I'm sharing from a lens that may be different for some. I'm sharing as a mental health therapist. I'm sharing with over 12 years of experience as a therapist in office. I'm currently in private practice. My team, we do individual, couple, and family treatment. We do groups. So I'm sharing from that lens because there's a need to get a voice in our community about mental health. There's a need for us to get deeper with mental health. How many people have heard about NAMI? How many of you have heard about recovery resources? How many know about the resources in your community? Faith leaders listening, do you know that you can get free resources for your congregation? Do you know that you can get free brochures and speakers to come out to talk about mental health? Do you know what's available? If you don't worry. But it is time for us to be equipped to handle mental health. If you're feeling some kind of way, don't worry. If you don't know what to do and you're feeling out of sorts, how you're feeling right now is absolutely normal. It's a pandemic. And as I close, what do I want you to prepare for? As things open up and we go back to doing different things, mental health disorders are going to increase. One would say, well, you know what? Why is it increasing and we're going back to doing what we used to do? It's going to increase because remember, the old norm is gone. We're entering a place of new normalcy. So it's going to increase. Why? Now, if you were fearful before, there's an increase in fear. If you were worried before, we're going to see an increase in anxiousness. We're going to see an increase in depression. Why? Because people going out, now you're going out with masks, people washing their hands. It's a lot. What else are we going to see? Increase in paranoia and suspicion. It's so much that's going to emerge. Repeat after me. Type it. Mental health matters. It's not going away. It is going to increase. So we have to have the discussion. So I invite you to come on. I invite you to share. I invite you to send questions. I invite you to begin to consider this breaking the silence. What are we breaking the silence of? We are breaking the silence of mental illness. What are we doing? We're opening up communication. And what else are we doing? We are creating a community of care. Why is that important? Because in this effort to begin to talk about mental illness, it's not one avenue. It's not one group of people. It's all of us coming together and sharing. So I thank you this morning for coming on. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Next time I come at you, I'm going to have another topic about mental health, and we're going to dig deeper. This morning, I just want to come in and say hi, introduce this important topic, give it some thought, chew on it, process it, think about it from two lenses. One, those if you are a helper, I want you to think about mental health. How are you helping, and what else do you need to do? If you are from a faith-based community, I want you to think about what do we need to do to prepare to handle mental health. Mental health is not only a community problem. It is not, okay, I'm going to refer this person. Do you know, if you're a pastor, you're a leader in the church, do you know that people with mental illnesses will come to you first? Their first stop is going to be the church. They're going to come to their church, and they're going to expect their church to help them first. Going to an agency is very seldom the first stop. So you're going to have to be ready. For those of you who may not be feeling yourselves right now, maybe you have a previous mental health diagnosis, or you're just developing symptoms for the first time, I'm going to have some lessons for you as well. And not just lessons, because sometimes when we hear stuff, we don't go get help. This is going to be 1 + 1 = results. 1 + 1 = results. 1, me sharing, +1, you seeking help, and then 2, equal results. Because what is the most important thing that I want to close with? It is important to me as a therapist that you have a better quality of life. It's important to me as a therapist that you live and walk as the best version of yourself. That's it. The best version of yourself, and having the best quality of life. And what are the things that we see with mental illness? Mental illness can create a stuckness. There's a scripture that says you were running well. And what got in your way? For some of you, it's mental illness. For some of you, it was a pandemic. For some of you, you running well, but what got in your way? Anxiety, you were running well, what got in your way? Depression, some of you, you running well, what got in your way? Trauma, some of you, you running well, what got in your way? PTSD, you running well, what got in your way? Substance use disorder, you running well, what got in your way? Agoraphobia, you running well, what got in your way? Changes. What got in your way? You were running well. Grief, the natural and normal reaction to change. Some of you may not even be depressed. You may be grieving. Do you know that grief is the most overlooked symptom? A lot of people, I tell my clients when they come in, they're like, I have depression, and then I do a checklist and I do an assessment. You're not depressed, you're grieving. You're grieving because it's a normal and natural reaction to change. Some of you all are grieving. You went from up one day to down the other. And we need to talk about that. You were running well. What got in your way? The stigma of mental illness. Because I can't tell nobody or they're going to think we're not even going to use that C word. Crazy. You're not crazy. You're not off. You're not crazy. You're not bizarre. If you don't feel good, it's natural and it's normal, okay? So don't worry. It's natural and it's normal. You've been a little sad, it's natural and it's normal. You feeling a little anxious, it's natural and it's normal. Okay? So I thank you guys for joining me again. This has been a pleasure to come and just chat with you with my heart, passion, mental illness. As a mental health therapist, I'm just excited to come before you and to do what? Break the stigma, especially in the African American community. Break the stigma. Break the stigma. And most importantly, I want to provide you with, in my field we call psychoeducation, I want to provide you with information that is going to break the stigma. I'm going to talk to you about mental illness. I'm going to talk to you about mental health disorders, because everybody is not bipolar. Everybody is not crazy. So I just want to give you some truths that's going to help you. The more truth you have in this climate, the better you're going to be. Thank you for logging on to see me. Again, I'm Sherdene Simpson. I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Drop me some information in the message. If you have questions, hit me up. I'll be back at you soon with another important topic of mental health. Why? Because mental health matters, and today we come together as a community of care. We're going to break this stigma, y'all. You going to join me? How many people are going to join me in working with me to break the stigma of mental health? Faith-based communities, I need you. Pastors, come on, join. We're going to break, it's one, unity. Come on, because we all fight mental illness. I'm calling all pastors to join me. I understand church. I am married to a pastor. I'm a therapist. I'm married to a pastor. I understand church culture. I was director of counseling on the church staff for almost 10 years. So I understand. So some pastors may say, sis, you don't understand. I understand, Pastor. I understand, sir. I understand, ma'am. Come on and partner with me. Let's talk. Let's see how I can support you as you prepare. You got to prepare. Come on. I'm calling, matter of fact, I'm calling pastors. I'm calling faith leaders. I'm calling those, I'm not calling color. I want everybody to come on. This is Sherdene Simpson. Come on. I want you to join me. Come on. Whatever you want to call me, Lady Simpson, Sherdene, come on. We're not going by name. We're not looking at time. Come on, help. We got to help. Come on, we got to partner to help. We have to create a community of care. So I'm calling the pastors. If there's a rabbi, I'm calling you, Rabbi. I need you to. Come on. Let's work together. Let's work together to create a community of care. That may take some training. It may take some offline communication. It may take some summits. Whatever it takes. Mental health providers, you come on. I need you. Social workers, therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, come on. I need my colleagues. I need you. I'm calling you. Come. And those of you who may be experiencing mental illness, I'm calling you. Why? Because we have to get some information to you. And I need you to know. I care about you. I care. And I want to create a community of care. Why? Because that community of care, I want them to be the best to make sure that you're good. That you will know, no matter what you are experiencing, you can have a good quality of life. And a good quality of life, you may say, you know what, I hear you, ma'am, but I can't do all that. Do you know, if you're feeling down right now, one step in a good quality of life is you getting up and just taking a shower. If you could take one shower in a week, do you know that's going to help you have a good quality of life? We're not going to have you do a long list. I just want you to take one baby step at a time. Will you do that? Come on and partner with me. Take one baby step at a time. You could do it. I'm looking right at you. I see you. I see you, and you've been discouraged. Let me speak to you right now. I see you. That person that's watching me right now, and you say, you know what, I haven't been feeling well. You're right. When people call me, I'm telling them I'm okay. Because you know what? They're used to me taking care of them. So because I've been taking care of everybody, I can't who do I talk to? I want to create a community of care for you. Let me say to you, you are important. You are essential. How you are feeling matters. If you're feeling high today and low tomorrow, can I tell you that you matter? You are important. You feel that you've been overlooked. We're not overlooking you. I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you right now. I see you. I feel you. And I want to be here to support you. This is important. You matter. Your mental health matters. We spend a lot of time on weight loss programs. Let's spend some time on mental health programs, right? I got you. You could do this. Be encouraged. I see you smiling now. It's probably the first time you smiled in a long time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You got this. Yes. Yes. You just need a community of care. Some of you watching, you may be home by yourself for these last 3 months. You've been home by yourself. Come on and join a community of care. Yes. A community of care that matters. You just need more information, more resources. Again, I thank you guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Saturday. I'll be back at you soon. Mental health matters. Let's break the stigma of mental health. Enjoy your Saturday.